No Chill Sports is an unapologetic, high-energy sports show where opinions fly fast and facts hit hard. The views and opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the hosts and guests, and do not necessarily reflect those of any affiliated networks, sponsors, or partners. Content may include passionate debates, bold predictions, and unfiltered takes that some viewers may find intense or controversial. Listener discretion is advised. If you're looking for chill, this ain't the place.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Rant with Pough Ant, where the mics stay hot, the takes are bold, and the truth is unfiltered. No scripts, just two voices bringing the heat with heart, real, raw, and unapologetically honest. What's good with you, my boy?
Man, what's going on, man?
Hey, nothing much, man. I've been watching baseball all day, man. It's been some games today. Louisville, Miami game. I know we're gonna talk about it later. That was a phenomenal game. North Carolina, Arizona. Yeah.
A little bit of a surprise there.
Very big surprise. That shakes up a lot of things that we were talking about last night. And man, the big topic of the weekend, man, the house settlement. So I didn't know. Call me slow. I didn't realize that the house settlement, House versus NCAA, I was thinking like House of Representatives, like government, but it's the actual plaintiff. His name was House. And it's actually, and I know, it's three different cases that they combined. They just went with his name. But when I heard House, I was thinking like this was like the government versus NCAA, because I know a lot of those battles have been fought with state government. But I'm looking forward to this conversation. We got our man Renard Williams from Down South Football be joining us later. So it's gonna be a real good conversation, man. A lot to take in. So without further ado, man, let's go ahead and give a shout out to our sponsors over at Dubby. Dubby is a powdered energy drink aimed at gamers and individuals seeking focus and energy. It's known for its clean ingredients, no jitters, and various flavors. Dubby is also available in a hydration formula for those needing electrolytes. Dubby achieves its smooth, effective focus with a high-end tasting experience while using no sugars, no fillers, no artificial color or dyes. Try Dubby today by scanning the QR code on the screen or visit them at the website bit.ly/NoChillDubby. Dubby, your taste buds' favorite energy drink. Like I said, man, we got a special guest in the house bringing back, or actually bringing on, to be the first time on the Rant and Pough Ant, our good friend from Down South Football Podcast, Renard Williams. Thank you for joining us tonight, man.
What's going on, fellas? How you doing, man?
Doing good. Hey, I do got a shameless plug. We've been talking about Dubby for a while. I went and find, mine finally came in.
Okay.
It's good.
Okay. I'm going to get it.
Yeah, gotta check it out. But fellas, Noah, we had to have you on talk about this, the house settlement and everything. It's a lot. It's a lot, and I
And
don't
we all
think
have our law degree now, correct?
yeah, and I don't think people fully. Yeah, I know, right? I don't think people fully understand what's going on with this. But before we, before we fully break everything down, let me ask this. And Noah, we'll start with you. Initial reactions to the announcement of the signing on Friday.
Something that's been 5 years in the making, but I will say it's like putting a band-aid on a gunshot wound in your leg. But it's a base. It's a base, it's not a fix. As because I just messed the words. I kept saying fix, but it's just a base. But you really just opened up the door to Pandora's box, really, when you start putting real regulation in place. But you had to do that but now the lawsuits are going to continue to come. But now you at least have a baseline with the quote unquote salary cap. But I want to ask y'all fellas a question. When has the NCAA ever put anything in that's actually quote unquote worked? Everything is always retroactive, not proactive.
Yeah. My initial thoughts, like you said, it's been a long time in the making, and it's almost like whenever you doing a project and you finally get finished with it, and then you realize, oh man, I still gotta do this, I gotta do this, and it's all kind of other problems that come up after the fact that when you kind of thought you were finished. And I think that's what this house settlement is going to be in a sense. Like, yeah, we have some sort of structure now, but I think it's just the beginning in terms of the lawsuits and everything that's going to come after July 1st, whenever these payments and stuff kick in. So I think it's a starting point, but it's nowhere near the finish line.
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback on your analysis and or your saying that it's like a project. It's like a group project. And when you do group projects, you have that one person that let everybody else do the work and they just sit back and take credit. This is the NCAA in this. They're sitting back and they're gonna let everybody else do the work. Now they've passed the buck on who's gonna regulate what and who's gonna watch over this and who's gonna watch over that. And all they're saying is, hey, this is how we're gonna set it up. We're gonna pay our part and we're gonna wash our hands of it.
I don't know if I would go that far though, because what I think the NCAA did was they tried to find a way to make something enforceable. And which, to Renard's point, nothing that they've done has ever really worked, because it's always just been the NCAA coming out with something. This time, like you mentioned, it's a group project. So they had to get with all the power conferences and come to an agreement.
Mm-hmm.
So if this don't work, it's just as much on the power conferences as it is on the NCAA.
Passing the buck.
Here's why I say that. So I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen so people can see. I was looking today and I saw this article from CBS talking about it, and it gives more insight on Deloitte. That's the company that's going to be handling the NIL packages and stuff like that. Basically, in reading through here, it just talks about it. It actually, let's do this. Let's talk first roster limits. This is the part where I do think the NCAA had their hand in and it is in enforcing. Currently, the roster limit, I forget what it was. It was 85 scholarship, and then you can have walk-ons and so forth. They've changed that. Now you have a hard set 105-man roster when it comes to football. Because of course other sports have their roster limits, but it's changed everybody. Some people have lost some spots, some people have gained some spots. For instance, baseball is lost. It's going back to pre-COVID numbers, but now you have you're allowed to have pretty much a scholarship per person. basketball, you've got men and women's, you've got 12 roster spots and scholarship per person. Track and field is 45, both men and women. Softball is at 25, and so forth and so forth. There's a article that has that list. So that's where I think that the NCAA has that part. The thing with that, though, even with that, the SEC has come out and said that they're going to stick with 85. So here's my question with that. And I was going to ask this last night, Ant. Is that 85 scholarships?
Yeah.
So what that mean a school can do in the SEC? Could you do, when I know they wouldn't, but could you do 75 full scholarships and then 20 half scholarships?
No. All scholarship, it's a head count. So that means one scholarship per player. No partials, no splitting, no percentages, none of that. But essentially what it does is it gives you 85 scholarship players and 20 walk-ons. Which is essentially what the numbers that programs have been using for the last 10, 15 years or whatever. So the only thing is you're capped in the SEC, you're capped at 20 walk-ons. You know, you can't have more, you can't go to 110 players or whatever that they used to have. So essentially it gives you 85 scholarship players and 20 walk-ons.
Okay. Go ahead, Nord. I don't know if you was going to say.
No, I mean it's when you're talking about that roster, kind of like what Ant was saying, it's about how you're going to manage to get to that 105, because a lot of schools are not going to opt in to do that full 105. But of course, we're talking right now is more on the higher end Power 4 level, and a lot of those schools are going to be in this conversation. Like, yeah, they're gonna maximize whatever is left out there. Unlike other schools, which I'm sure we'll have a conversation about that too when it comes down to that roster limits. The walk-on part of it that they're eliminating, you got that grandfather clause. Well, a lot of them are in there also. So I think it's going to take a year or two or more to actually really like get it done. But once again, you're going to have lawsuits. That's the word of the day. The word of the day is lawsuits. Yeah. And you can have them from Title IX all the way up, whether it's NIL with the money or with the capping of it. All that's going to be under the lawsuit to get pushed back on.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So you mentioned grandfathering. One thing that was a kind of holding up the whole settlement in the first place was trying to come to agreement of how to handle the roster limit, because a lot of schools were starting to cut players, and so what they, I guess the compromise was they end up having those players, student athletes who were going to be cut, were then marked as designated student athletes, DSAs, and they would not count against your scholarship roster limit throughout their eligibility. So like you said, it's going to take a few years for that to play out. So, I mean, if schools were smart about it, you take off, not all, but you take your freshmen, you mark them. So you have that full 4 years and go from there. So that's one way roster limits is playing out. Another question I had: how big of an advantage would this be for schools outside of the SEC that aren't limiting themselves to this 85 cap?
Hey, go ahead, I'll let you.
I mean, in theory, it's an advantage. I mean, Ohio State, Oregon, those schools could have 105 scholarship players, essentially. So they wouldn't have to necessarily be as selective with transfer portal or high school recruiting. They can just start taking guys because they got room for them. And they could essentially kind of like stash them on their roster. But I don't know how that really work considering the day and age of the transfer portal. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know if you would actually see an Ohio State or Michigan or somebody just load up and have like 40-person recruiting classes because they got the room for it. But in theory, it could happen.
In definitely theory, it could happen, but I think more on the side of you have a player that's at a lower level that's really killing it. And normally, it's already a fight for you to keep that player there. Higher, because with the transfer portal, where it's like you can take it back kind of like to the olden days where it's like we can pay this player X, Y, and Z. We can pay this player this amount of money, and he can actually be on the roster. Maybe not even be a starter, but he can be a high level backup. He could be someone that's right there, that's going to be on their roster with them. That's where I kind of looked at it like, okay, we can now. They're trying to stack more talent. More talent is going to be stacked upon that. That's where I was looking at it from. Like the smaller schools are going to suffer. Of course, it's like the rich gets richer and the poor gets poor, because when you have someone that you developed and it's like maybe they made all conference or whatever, and they could probably up their draft stock if they stayed, then I'm going to be a second string linebacker at Ohio State making X amount of dollars that my school couldn't pay him. Yeah. That's just one way of actually looking at it. Like I agree with what Ant said, but like it's a way. It's just where you could say like, oh well, we're gonna try to stack talent, but a lot of schools are gonna be struggling to pay that. So it's all depending on how it plans out, how it pays out. So
yeah. Do we see or do you think the SEC will ever reverse this and get away from this trying to hard cap it at 85?
If the Big Ten or ACC or somebody start winning because of it.
Well, they want that 105 period. That's what they want. They want that 105. Look, the SEC is going to all be about whatever advantage they can get.
That's my point.
Right. That's what Ed was saying. Like, it's going to be about, if it's not an advantage to them, the two power brokers in college football, and this is what I try to get a lot of people to see, is that it doesn't matter how you feel about the SEC as a conference or the Big Ten as a conference. It's like saying like, oh, I don't like Donald Trump, but I'm sorry, that's the president. Bottom line is they have the power. They have the power, and they're going to throw it around and keep pushing until they continue to get what they want. So yeah, I definitely could see that.
I think like I said, they're gonna stick to 85 until being at 85 becomes a disadvantage. And then they'll start raising the numbers up. But see, the thing about it is you gotta look at it. If you add 20 scholarships to football, you gotta add 20 scholarships to women's sports also. You add 40 scholarships. And that money is coming partially from the revenue sharing money. You know what I'm saying? So that's
especially when you're talking about 5% only going to women's sports, which is the speculated number. 75% going to football. Like I said, word of the day, lawsuit.
Yeah, but yeah, I just think that like some schools are forced to raise their scholarships up and fund more scholarships. So the money that they're adding by funding these scholarships is tacked on to that $20.5 million that they're gonna do revenue sharing with.
Yep.
And so the more scholarships you add, the lower that pot gets for the players of that 20 million. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the SEC advantage to this is we don't have to fund as many scholarships, so our players get a bigger pot of that 20 million.
Yeah. And I'm glad y'all brought that up because that's a great segue. Revenue sharing. 20.5 million that's going to be shared amongst all sports. And like you mentioned, Renard, it's speculated that 75% will go to football, which is pretty much everyone's big money maker. Or it is pretty much, it's very rare that football is not. How do you see that playing out? That part of also because it is going to be, and according to the article that I read on CBS, it's going to increase per every year 4% for the next 10 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
at least right now for that deal.
Yeah, it's projected to be 35 million in 2030.
Yeah. So thoughts on that? Because I've got a child, a student athlete. I told him this is coming. Be prepared. I just want you to what I'm saying, the one. I'm my prayer. These schools are having these. I mean, and they should have already been having NIL, but having these financial literacy classes and talks. So, but that's a lot to throw at a kid.
And then also you got to put in there when you're talking about that to go along with that. Talking about more on the school part. I mean, you got $2.8 billion in back pay that you got to pay the former student athletes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's a part of the settlement that nobody is really talking about. So these schools are going to be penny pinching, and the ones that's making money going to be continuing to make more. Going to try to make more money because they're going to want to pay it off per conference. And the crazy part about that is every D1 conference is participating. They all have a part.
Yeah.
They all have a part, down to the SWAC, down to whatever. If you are considered a D1 conference, now your percentage is different, but you pay that money back too. So it's not just paying these athletes. You got to participate in paying back the former athletes that's not even on your campus right now.
Yeah. Which is interesting. That part of it. I didn't put on here to talk about it, but yeah, that was me. That was it. No, I was just saying that 2.8 billion. I didn't put on here. I forgot to throw that in here to talk about it, but that in itself was a major part of the talks as well, too.
Yeah, the revenue sharing to me though is well, it's finna get separation. Obviously the Power 4 schools are required to participate in revenue sharing. The Group of 5 conferences can opt in, or individual schools can opt in to revenue sharing. That to me is where the questions arise. Let's take the Mountain West, for example. Like you have a couple schools out there like Boise, Fresno, UNLV, possibly Nevada, who can afford to do revenue sharing, but then you also got like New Mexico, Utah State, Wyoming, Colorado, some of them other schools in that same conference who can't afford to pay their athletes $20 million. How can you ask Utah State and Boise State to compete for the same championship when they playing by two different sets of rules?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason why Sacramento State, Boise State, and a lot of those are looking to move to the Pac, whatever they're gonna want to be. And I know it's not necessarily, it's not a Power 5 or whatever. I don't know what they'll try to get back to, but
G6 at this point.
Yeah. But it will be interesting to see how those teams separate themselves out, because we're heading towards the inevitable where it's going to be a Power 5 playoff system. Keep the group of 5 or group of whatever y'all want to be, keep them out, and it'll be a completely separate entity as far as that's
concerned. I don't even know if you could do Power 5 and group of 4 at that point. I think you got to do revenue sharing and non-revenue sharing. Because I mean, even if you take the Power 4 out, like the American Conference, like Memphis and a couple of them, yeah, they could do revenue sharing. Like is Tulsa gonna do revenue sharing?
Probably not.
You said so they in the same conference though. How can they
Mhm.
be both playing for a G5 title in this new playoff if they playing by different rules?
Because who was it? What was the school that they said they were opting in? I want to say they're in the AAC, and they said, but they're gonna do at like 10 million is gonna be their budget.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember which
Mhm.
school it actually was that they said they're gonna.
I can see.
Because at some point, if you're in a conference with a school that's doing revenue sharing, you got to do revenue sharing too to keep up. You might, like you said, you might not spend the same amount. You might not spend the whole 20 million, but you got to spend something or you playing at on an uneven field.
Yeah. D-Lob asked this question. Is there a minimum of what G6 and FCS are required to pay for rail share?
Ooh, I don't know about a
I
minimum.
don't think so. I don't know. I don't know for a minimum at this point that they have to pay, because the only thing I know for sure is just that the Power Four has to be a part of the revenue sharing, because that was just in the lawsuit that they made sure that was on the table before it was done.
He said,
What he said?
he talked about UAPB. He said, with our rail share, players gonna be mad when they see their rail share check. What's 30% or nothing?
It put a lot. I mean, there's no schools that should be surprised.
Oh yeah.
It's just that, we don't know what it's going to be. It's like you said, like I was saying, like it's the have and the have nots. That's kind of what it kind of boiled down to. It just makes it a larger, it makes it a larger pool of where it is right now. So, but I think they will have something. You're not going to be able to compare to what someone else is getting at a Arkansas or LSU or whatever school. So
yeah,
but you still have NIL. So
yep. Great segue. NIL. What does this mean for NIL? Because we do know that they are changing the rules of NIL to an extent to where if there's third party, I think they said something about third party companies.
All third party contracts for more than $600.
Yes,
has to go through Deloitte. Yeah, which let me bring this up because it was somebody posted this on Twitter, and hold on. This is and I know this might be can you see that?
Yeah. So okay. that's for what you're looking at right there. That's for the range of compensation.
Yeah. So Deloitte says we'll evaluate third-party NIL deals using the 12-factor analysis, including 1, athlete's individual marketability and social media reach. 2, athletic performance and public profile. 3, type and scope of deliverables, appearances, content, etc. 4, geographic market size and demand. 5, deal duration. 6, exclusivity clauses. 7, renewability or extension terms. 8, comparable market benchmarks. 9, involvement of donors or booster entities. 10, timing of the deal, meaning relative to recruiting, transfers, etc. 11, quality and completeness of documentation. And number 12, red flag suggesting illegitimacy or inducement. What this and I'll let y'all comment, but what this says to me, and when I first heard about Deloitte being involved and everything, it sounded like they were going to be there to primarily say, hey, is this pay for play? We're going to eliminate it.
That's exactly what it is.
Yep, that's 100%.
That's the intent. Well, hold on, let me clarify. That's the intent. The intent is to prevent Texas A&M from buying the number 1 recruiting class in the country through collectives. The intent is to stop Duke from being able to go buy a quarterback from Tulane through collectives. Like that's the intent. But I mean, you might as well get ready to count the number of lawsuits that's going to come out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know how much pull they're going
Well,
they're going to have.
so the range of compensation, like they're going to use a bunch of parameters to determine what the range of compensation is for a specific player. I don't see how an algorithm can tell what somebody's worth is. Like that's the first lawsuit right there. Like your algorithm can't tell me how much I'm worth to this company. And and two, essentially you're trying to cap what they can make. And
Lawsuit.
even though they say that there's no limit to how much you can make, you're just subject to review. I mean, a good lawyer can make that work to where they saying you limited how much, or antitrust violation, whatever they're gonna do to get that to hit the courts. But the main problem I have with this is how enforceable is it really? And secondly, there's so many ways that you can work around this, bro. So many ways, dog.
Easily.
Like all you gotta do is have $2,599 deals for a player. None of them have to hit the clearinghouse. You know what I'm saying? Like, or you can put in there to say this player has to have 20 appearances, for this company, and we're gonna pay him $50,000. Okay, Deloitte's gonna look at that contract and say, okay, you're paying for a service. This guy's gonna do appearances. You're paying for a service. Cool. Is Deloitte gonna make sure that this dude goes to all 20 appearances? No. So they're just worried about the contracts. They're not worried about the actual deliverable on these services that the contract is binding you to. So you can have 50 companies say, hey, give me 10 appearances, please. And he show up to none of them. The players show up to none of them. And there's nothing Deloitte can do.
Okay. This brings me to my next question. What does this mean for the collectives?
They got to be creative.
The ones that still going to be around because their future is still up in the air. Because, like you said, some of them have moved them in house and some of them are whatever. But see, the problem is to me, boys, both of y'all, it was just both of y'all, men, excuse me, is the fact that the people that are running this money is way smarter than the people that's trying to put the enforcement in.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's always retroactive to what they're trying to do, just like they could have been proactive when it first passed in California about name, image, and likeness, but they sat back and just waited, and then they had the bomb explode, and then now it's like, well, we got to do something. Well,
yeah,
you could have done something beforehand, but you didn't.
To me, the collective that is going to hurt, like, and I'm not picking on a particular schools or nothing, but like, Ole Miss, like how many legitimate businesses in Oxford can you funnel this money through for NIL deals? You see what I'm saying? Versus Austin, where Texas got all these businesses. You know what I'm saying? Well,
even Georgia Tech.
Or Georgia Tech, yeah, they Atlanta, they Gucci. You know what I mean? Like, so we can funnel. We can basically, instead of donating straight up to the collective, these big boosters just finna use their companies. You know what I'm saying? To do the NIL deals with, and some of these schools don't have the same amount of opportunities as other schools do to do legitimate businesses with. So, I mean, in a way, you finna have people go back to doing under table handshakes at some of these schools, because that's the only way that they're gonna be able to get around some of the parameters set up. So we finna go right back to what they tried to get out of the game, or they said was out of the game when NIL came into existence. But yeah, some of these markets like SMU, TCU, USC, USC should kill it. You know what I mean? Like, because they got plenty of opportunities out there to where you can take this money that was going to collectives, start sending it to businesses, and let them handle it. I think the collectives will still exist in a way. It'll be more so like facilitating deals. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just writing checks to players
money
or giving checks to players, it'll be more so like, okay, y'all want this player? Okay, let me put you in touch with this business, and let y'all work something out together. And they'll probably help with some of the deals, saying what some of the market value for some of the play, you know what I'm saying, all that kind of stuff. But I don't think the collectors will be the ones writing the checks anymore, as much as being the middleman, putting the player in touch with the business or vice versa.
Yeah. I just had a thought that left. But I think one of the biggest factors, and because I know we talked about this. This is going to vary about the collective's impact. It's going to vary per school, per athletic department. I also think another big factor is going to be we talked about your market. Golly, that was one more.
Let me put this into consideration too. For smaller schools, right? Or maybe not smaller schools, but schools that don't have the same type of donations and stuff to the athletic department or the collectives, Got $20 million that you finna pay players with. That's coming out of your athletic budget. All right, so that's $20 million that you don't have for stadium renovations, locker room renovations, coaches' salaries, whatever the case may be to run your athletic program. How many schools are finna have to use the people who were donating to collectives to have to donate to the athletic department to make up that $20 million, to where they can still get the stuff done that they need to get done? Like, not everybody has a Tiger Athletic Foundation that's paying majority of the coach's salary and does a lot of the renovations for the stadiums and stuff on their own. You know what I mean? A lot of that goes to the athletic department. So, if you at Rutgers or somewhere, you know what I'm saying? Like, how much money you really bringing in every year to where if you need to upgrade your stadium, can you pay the $20 million and upgrade your stadium, or are you gonna have to have somebody come in and pay for your stadium, or pay, you know what I mean? Whatever the case may be. I just want to see how it affects some of these smaller athletic budgets.
And even the ones that have it, even I'll just use Tulane. I know they're on a nice little spending spree and doing what they doing. At some point, it's still going to be like we was talking about the divide. The divide is going to eventually be, hey, Power 4 playoff, and G5, or if you want to say G6, all the way is going to be a different divide, because you're creating a bigger divide for everything that you do. And the reason why is because those people with the money are setting it up. So there's no independent someone doing it. The people that's controlling the money are making the rules.
Well, see, the funny, what people fail to realize is, all D1 conferences were brought to the table for the past players getting the revenue sharing.
Past 5 years, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know who wasn't brought to the table for the revenue sharing going forward? Because they're not required to do it.
Nope.
It's a different lawsuit. You see what I'm saying? Like, whenever we talk about the $2.8 billion that's retroactively going to players, that's all D1 conferences.
Yep.
Yeah.
They all came to the table. They all came to an agreement on what percentage this conference gonna pay, what percentage this conference gonna pay, et cetera, et cetera. When it comes to that $20 million going forward and all that stuff, that was just the Power 4 conferences in the NCAA. So you can tell right now they playing the game and they're making the rules as they go.
Yep.
So they're making the rules to benefit them. They don't really care how it affects the Sun Belt or how it affects the MAC. You know what I mean? They don't really care. They look at it as like,
Big bank take little bank.
Well, they look at it like we gonna eat and they can get the crumbs. You know what I mean? And so if they don't drop no crumbs, it don't matter to them because they still eat. You know what I mean? So I think eventually we do get to the point where it is a have and have not situation. My question becomes, how many sports is it a have and have not situation?
Yeah, I'm a because I know we mentioned, I know we got D-Law, we got Adrian in here. I'm gonna reach out to Dr. Cavill because I know this is something he's been talking about for a while and the impact that it'll have on HBCU sports. Because that's where I'm really interested to see where this, how this is going to really affect them.
And that's the part that the whole time when you're listening about the whole lawsuit and everything that's going along with it, like I said before, that sounds great for the LSU, the Georgias, the whoever of the world, but that's like taking up like 5% of 100%, and then you already have these schools, you already have these conferences that's trying to make things work and don't understand that the power of the money is the biggest factor. You always say, well, my school doesn't have this, my school doesn't have that. This is why.
I know it came back to me. I'm glad you said that, Nord. Another big factor that people aren't really talking about, with the Department of Education being what it is right now, in kind of in limbo, how your state laws are set up, how your state is funding and laws or NIL laws and stuff are written up. That's going to play a huge part in what your athletics looks like going forward. If your state is already kind of and it's a lot of our HBCUs that are lacking because they, saying there's money that's owed that they're not getting. So adding this to it is very I say interesting because interesting is a very nice word to say, other than saying is effed up.
Yeah, I mean that whole getting rid of the Department of Education brings up a whole bunch of Title IX questions, but we'll save it for another show. But I think one thing is with the FCS and HBCUs, I think we'll see lawsuits from current players. Not just in like the MEAC and SWAC, but all like even like, let's say Conference USA, who might not opt in to revenue sharing, right? Like, you mean to tell me the dude I played with last year who graduated, he get money out of the 2.8 billion, but I don't get nothing because I'm a current player. You see what I'm saying? Like, my school not opting into the
I thought it said what I read, it said current players still get.
I'm saying, like, okay, I guess I said that wrong. If I'm a freshman at Louisiana Tech, right, I don't get nothing. But the dude who played last year in my same position, he get money from the $2.8 billion lawsuit.
But I think the argument there is you're about to be paid for what he didn't get it. You're actually about to get a part of that revenue
because Louisiana Tech is not opting in the revenue sharing. So he's actually getting money. You see what I'm saying? Like,
I get what you're saying. The schools that didn't opt in. Okay, I misunderstood.
So he get part of that money, 2.8 billion, or he get a percentage of that, but I don't get nothing, and we doing the exact same thing. So that's, I mean, you finna see lawsuits, bro.
And what I said the word of the day was?
Yeah, and I think it could possibly get to the point to where everybody is required, every FBS is required to pay. You know what I mean?
And I've been hearing a lot of stories about a lot of FBS and even some FCS are considering dropping down a level to avoid this.
Yeah, I mean, look at St. Francis. I mean, and that's why you see schools cutting sports, because they don't have to fund that many more scholarships. You know what I mean? They don't have to fund that much travel or whatever the case may be, turning them into club sports. And I think that's just the beginning, bro.
and completely eliminate them off the table. And especially with Olympic sports.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Because
volleyball.
they don't bring money in. A lot of them don't bring money in at all. So like your athletic department is already in debt for outside of the two major sports.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so am I going to continue to fund this tennis program, this track program, or am I going to cut one of them or cut it down to the way, like you said, it's a club sport or something like that? You can still participate, but guess what? I'm not required for that scholarship anymore. And guess where it's going? It's going to the major two, because that's going to be the major two that's going to bring in your money.
Yeah. Speaking of the great doctor comments, thank you, Dr. Cavill. He says neither of the players from La Tech will get money from the lawsuit.
That's why he's the great. That's why he's the great Dr. Cavill.
Hey, I'm telling you. What they say Friday, it be knowing. He be knowing.
And I'm gonna say this.
Thank you, Dr. Cavill.
You guys do a good job of it, and a couple people I know do it, but like the people that don't like details, they're going to struggle understanding from a overall standpoint, because it really gets down to knowing exactly what you talk about. Yes, it's boring. Yes, it's not, talking about this and that, but the ones who really know are truly, really good sports people. The one who really care about the whole sport and not just care about whether or not it's whatever school it's her name.
You want me to be honest with you, Renard?
Okay, go ahead. Sir.
It's more about people who are willing to click on the link and read the article and not just read the headline.
Basically.
So I want to ask this, and I know we can go hours talking about this, but final thoughts on the overall direction with the house settlement and everything, and of course the title is unsettled, because we know this is just a cap on a bottle of Coke and Mentos, and it's going to explode.
I think it just depends on your perspective of what you're looking at. Like, it was designed for the Power 4 schools, and they're the one that's getting the most advantages out of it. They just continue to step on the little guy. If you ask me, the haves and the have-nots. So, I mean, for most people that watch FBS all the time, then it's perfectly fine. But overall, I don't see it as being the greatest thing. But we open ourselves up to other lawsuits completely, all the way across the board. It's not about the Power 4 with me. To me, it's about what is about the whole not fairness, but the whole quality of the whole sport. Because I don't want to watch 16 schools.
Yeah.
But hey, yeah, who knows? We'll be in litigation forever.
Yeah, I think it's like I said, it's a starting point, but it's far from over. This is written in sand, pencil, however you want, whatever analogy you want to use. But ultimately, I think no person has affected college sports more than Claudia Wilkins. I mean, she started this whole thing 10 years ago. Whenever she ruled that, the
Ed O'Bannon
case. Yeah. So, I mean, from that point forward, college athletics has never been the same, really. And so I think this is gonna be like the new era. You know what I mean? Like, it's the new norm, bro. And we just gotta get once all the lawsuits play out over the next 5-10 years or whatever, then we'll just enter the new era where amateur athletics is dead. This is
amateurism.
This is minor leagues for professional sports, and they getting treated like it.
Y'all know the GIF where Michael Jackson sitting in the theater eating the popcorn? That's me right now, because I know it's the movie's just getting started. It's about to be unreal.
We just in the first grade. That's what.
I see. It's so much I think can happen, and I will say this. And you mentioned it with Clyde Wilkinson, the 10 years ago with the Ed O'Bannon case. NCAA dropped the ball. And this could have the structure that they're now seeking and trying to scramble to find, they could have had a long time ago. They could have set parameters in place. They could have set a market. They could have set caps. They could have had all this set to say, to keep this as, hey, this is still going to be amateurism, but we are going to compensate you for your name, image, and likeness. So,
what did I start the show off by saying? Retroactive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not proactive ever.
So I know this conversation gonna come up again, or this topic gonna come up again later on as stuff comes out. But I did at least want to have the initial conversation with everything that happened on Friday, with the announcement on Friday. But I do want to talk real quick before we get ready to get off of here. Super regionals. It's been wild. Go ahead.
I forgot to. The whole thing. None of us really mentioned in all this is how much legislation will we see from states that strictly contradicts this house settlement, and to where schools won't be required to abide by. Maybe there's not a 20.5 million cap. Maybe they say you can spend as much as you want. Whatever the case may be. But I think nobody has really talked about the possibility of doing like the state of Tennessee has most recently, and passing legislation about NIL and about revenue sharing and things like that. And at that point, NCAA or state law, you know what I mean? Which one do you go by, and which one is more enforceable?
Isn't Arkansas in the middle of something right now too?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, which will lead to more lawsuits, because I know Louisiana has a law that says they're not required to
disclose the amounts,
NIL terms. You know what I'm saying? So I want to see what really plays out with state legislation versus this house settlement. How many lawsuits come from that as well? But
so
you can go forward.
So just because, you know what I'm saying, my civics 101 is you know what I'm saying, it's a little shaky. Federal would trump, right? The state, and it's just gonna be it'll be a legal battle.
It's not a federal case.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
When you start getting into the state by state NIL laws, they started setting that, remember?
Yeah, this is a California lawsuit.
Oh, I don't know why I thought this was federal. Well, that's why I missed then. All right. Well, there we go. We're gonna see. Litigation forever.
Forever.
What litigate? What? Hold
up. You know what else got ruled or got partially ruled on as well? Friday was Malachi Ziegler, point guard from Tennessee. He has a lawsuit based off the state law in Tennessee.
Yep.
To where he's trying to get another year of eligibility. I mean, he's played like 5 years already, and he's still trying to get him up.
Feel like 10.
Yeah, but that's the thing is he's seeking a 5th season, but he's basically saying Tennessee's new law helps him. And so, but the judge basically said, like, I'm gonna give you more time to like prove it. You know what I'm saying? And so it seems like it might be moving forward.
Litigation then, litigation now, litigation forever.
Hey, before you go, I do want to say this. If you in the 76-page release that she had, she even said, the judge even said, like, she's warning the NCAA and the conferences about making this settlement the law of the land, and there's going to be
part of it. She basically said it ain't up to me to decide this. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, XYZ. Like it ain't up to me to decide how y'all do it or how y'all determine how to split the money and all that. It ain't up to me to decide all that kind of stuff.
You got rev share and roster limits out of this, and now you got people like you said, as soon as the lawsuit came out, you saw all these things released about like, oh, we got all this, we got all out deals and everything that we're trying to get in before the deadline, doing all this type of stuff. It's gonna just continue to go on with the money and everything else, and with the lawsuits. So where we are.
Yeah, it is a federal lawsuit. However, state laws are still state, and on federal laws, not a lawsuit can trump, play on words, state law. So
welcome.
It's gonna be chaos, bro.
It's chaos. And this chaos, you got all three of us have been following this for 3-4 years.
Yeah.
I'm not a lawyer though, so it's.
I told you got your law. I told you
close enough.
I told you got your law to be earlier.
I just play one on the internet.
Hey, nobody would ever knew. You remember when everybody thought you was a lawyer when we first on Twitter? But all right, man, we go ahead and wrap up. Congratulations, there are several teams that punched their tickets. Louisville, UCLA, Arizona, Coastal Carolina, Arkansas punched their tickets to Omaha. LSU and West Virginia just kicked off, so if LSU wins, they'll be in. Also, later on tonight, Florida State will take on Oregon State, and also Murray State unleashed ass whooping on Duke today to stay alive and force a winner take all tomorrow. So.
I believe North Carolina got eliminated.
Yeah, North Carolina. Yeah, that's. Whoo.
I gave him too much credit last night.
Wait, you weren't the only one. We all did. Currently, and David posted up here in other news, the Thunder are smothering these dudes on defense. Yeah, it's 52-29 with OKC with 4:36 left in the first half. Wake me up in the fourth quarter,
bruh.
Yeah,
it looked good right now. Wake me up in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I'm for the Thunder like 14-0 in the regular season, or 14-2 in the regular season, and 4-0 in the playoffs after a loss. So
yeah, it was something like that. Yeah,
I knew
they
was at least gonna come out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying, and start hot, but we've seen the Pacers come back a couple times from 20 points, so we'll see.
Yeah, so we'll see. Fellas, y'all got anything else before we get ready to get up out of here?
I mean, I'll say this. I appreciate y'all for having me on, man. And Down South Football will be back real soon. We making some changes, improving some stuff. So hey, and we're about that time for football season, and hopefully we can just do what we need to do. Y'all can subscribe to us on all platforms. Down South Football Podcast. That's the name for now.
All right.
We ain't mentioned it, but shout out Coco Golf.
Man, I'm glad you did bring it up. Shout out to Coco getting her first win in the French Open,
despite the hate.
Yeah, despite
the hate.
Only reason she won is because
the only reason she won because I beat the person who could have beat her.
Yeah, only reason she won because I blew a lead like the Falcons in the Super Bowl.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro.
Just let it go. Just be
some people.
Just be humble.
But then shout out to them. And shout out to the Athletes Unlimited Softball League. Professional softball league kicked off yesterday. It's good for them and they're gonna have a pro volleyball league too. So I'm giving these ladies an opportunity to play after college.
Yeah. Hey, Sid, we'll talk about that tomorrow when we do our HBCU show. All the mega camps that from this past weekend. So we'll definitely talk about that tomorrow. But I do have something before we get ready to go. For those of you interested, we are doing a contest. If you play college football, Xbox, PlayStation, computer, whatever, here's your chance to win a free copy. This is all you got to do. You think you got the best EA Sports College Football 26 cover design? Here's your shot to win the game on us. Follow the rules below and enter now. The winner will get a GameStop gift card to cop the game. And yes, I did. I looked it up. We'll send you the gift card the night of. We're gonna do the show on Wednesday, July 9th, the day before the game. I think the early release of the game, it may be the day it comes out. You'll get a gift card that night. You can go ahead and purchase the game on and pick it up in your store, however you want to do it. But here's the rules. All you got to do, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter. Send us a screenshot that you did it. Create you a cover idea, a unique cover design. We'll select several, pick some finalists, throw it on Twitter and let people vote. Top 4 we'll have on the show, on the YouTube show. Let everybody do a live vote. Hey, we'll crown a winner right then and there. And you will get a gift card that night. Deadline is June 22nd, so you got roughly 2 weeks. Get a design together. That following week, we'll have finalists out. We'll do a vote from the 30th to July 5th, right after 4th of July. That Sunday, July 6th, we'll have, announce the final 4. And then, like I said, on July 9th, we'll have that show. Let everybody vote on it. So, hey, that's all you got to do. Easy. And if you don't want to compete in the contest, still go ahead and subscribe. Follow us. YouTube and Twitter. So, that's all we got, man. Renard, again, appreciate you for coming through, man. We got to do this again. Not necessarily talking about the house settlement, but we definitely got to do this again and have this great conversation.
We definitely can talk more about the house settlement because we didn't really get on the College Sports Commission. So hey, we got a lot. We can touch on whenever you feel like it, bro.
Hey, I appreciate it. Sounds good to me. We will be back next week sometime. We may even be back. Maybe back on Wednesday. I'm not sure. Because that'd be before College World Series. So,
bro, Louisiana just passed the bill.
Who that?
Louisiana. They just passed the bill that increases the tax on gambling, and it specifies that 25% of the tax money will go to fund D1 athletic departments to use for the benefit of athletes.
Then we just say they can always find a way.
Well, there you go.
That's what I'm saying, bro. I'm telling you, like it's gonna happen all across the country, bro.
And there's I can't speak on all of them right now, but like he said, like that was just passed. Man, they working because they knew it was coming.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, it's like it's an ongoing conversation, so we can just stop. Let's just.
Oh well. All right. Like that. Hold on. Actually, I ain't got no music playing or nothing. I am tripping. Get theme music going. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Like that. We out.